Okay, so hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone watching on YouTube. Welcome to today's session. It's good to have you. You carry on the call. How you doing?
I'm very good. How are you doing too?
Yeah, I'm doing fine as well. Okay, so welcome to today's session, and thank you so much for coming on board as a speaker for the session. So today we'll be discussing on a topic: don't design in silence. So we're going to see the importance of why, as designers, we should collaborate with others and avoid working in silence and in silo as well. So before we welcome our speaker, I would love to give a little bit of background about her. So Eucharia is a product designer. She's a no-code developer, a storyteller, and curious observer of human interactions. She has years of experience creating digital products that balance empathy with impact. So welcome, and please, you can share your screen and begin the session.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me a few minutes. I'm coming. Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay, okay, I can see your screen.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Eucharia Odili, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. So, our topic for today is don't design in silence. I think it's quite self explaining to some extent what it means. But how I would like this presentation to go is to understand why do people actually design in silence, to know the problem and how to solve it. So, yeah. So, the goal of this section is to help you understand the risks of design in isolation and also to give you practical ways to seek, receive, and apply the feedbacks that you're going to get from the end of this in your design process. The focus is real life application, not just theory. And then, who is this presentation for? It is for beginner designer who finds feedback intense, and for freelancer and early stage professionals. Now, one idea I want you to go home with today is that design is not a solo activity. The best outcome for every design project or design role you're going to take will always come from collaboration, feedback, and iteration. You have to work with people, you have to talk to people, you have to go over and over a particular project over and over again for you to get the best outcome. Yeah, this is one of the most important thing, understanding the problem. What does designing in silence actually mean? It means designing a project without checking in, without asking for input, without sharing your ideas early, and you only share it when you feel it is done. And the common signs that you are designing in silence are: number one, you hide your work until you feel it is fully finished. You skip check ins with clients or stakeholders. You avoid critique section or design review, and you only ever share your polished, final looking design screens. This is something that I was also a victim of. Um, when I was getting started, I always like to share the the polished looking screens. I felt like that was what is gonna call in attention and attract people, but that's very far from the truth. And most times, why does this happen? Firstly, I think it is fear, not just I think, I'm starting, most times we are afraid of critique, we're afraid of people commenting under our work. We're afraid of people telling us, oh, this is not good, or I don't think this solves the problem. And gradually it becomes an habit. Most times we have unclear process or simply working remotely. That's why most companies will tell you they don't want someone that works remotely, because there is a gap in the communication. But some people have been able to walk through that gap and close that gap, given so many workshops that they do. But most startup, most companies, they can share, like, most of them design in silence, and you just design in solo. So we have to understand the impact of designing in silence to know the damages or the things that it does to you. You get design rejection, because if you wait till the final work is, you are confident in the final work, and you share it with stakeholders, and then you realize that you are solving the wrong problem. Because if you had shown them the design when it is a wireframe, or when you're just trying to you are doing the journey map, and just show them, like, okay, this is the direction we are going, this is how we are going about it. I think you will know if you are solving the right problem at that point, and then you will not go and do the high fidelity screens that are solving the wrong problem. So because you're going to work on assumption, and you'll be sent back to the drawing board, and it will lead to you wasting your time and effort. Because the hours you're going to pour, that you're supposed to use, you're supposed to pour it into something good, something better, you're going to pour it into the wrong stuff. And you're going to have exactly what I'm saying. You're going to have misalignment with stakeholders. You guys are not going to have like this constant communication. I think one of the things that I do, especially when I am freelancing or I get a side project, is to get the owner or the stakeholders as a collaborator in my Figma file, because I feel like as much as a lot of them can be a bit too much, often at times here it is better they see what you are doing at the early stage, because I really don't like to waste my time. I like to know we are addressing the same problem, we are heading towards the same goal. It saves time and it makes things easier for me. And again, you have slower growth as a designer. The more you share your work, the more you share your thought process, not just your finished screens, the more you grow, because you get feedback, you go back to the drawing board, you learn things, people give you suggestion. That's very beautiful. Yeah, people give you like places to look out for things. Not just sharing your work, you can ask questions. You can design two screens and post them on either Twitter or LinkedIn, and ask people, oh, what do you think about this? Oh, this is the reason why I went for screen one, this is the reason why I went for screen two. And then you guys can talk. You can have this brainstorming section with people. The Twitter design community is so helpful. That's why I always employ new people to use that place a lot. Talk about your design, talk about things. It helps you, it helps you, it helps you. It gives you this direction to know how you're going, rather than trying to know everything. And then once you think you've known to the best of your knowledge, and then you come online and you are late to the party. So yeah, why designers avoid feedback? Again, I think I have mentioned this, the fear of criticism. You don't want people giving you feedback on your work, and sometimes you internalize those feedback. I always tell people here, your feedback on your work or your screen does not define you. It is the work they are talking about. They did not say, oh, you are not good. No, they say the work is maybe this or that. Focus on it. Even if some of the feedback can come as should I say, mean, don't be defensive. Just explain the reason why you did what you did. And I feel like it's just like your muscle. The more you train your muscle, the more your muscles grow. Same thing with feedback, receiving feedback. The more you receive feedback, the more you get used to it. And you could hear the most mean feedback, and you look at where it's coming from, look at how you can add changes and whatever, and then you move on. You don't internalize it, you don't dwell on it, you don't think, oh, they say I am not good. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. And even if they do say it, their definition of who they think you are does not define who you actually are. You understand? And then perfection. Yeah, perfectionism is one of the things that will impede your growth as a designer. It is going to do more damage than good. Nobody is perfect. And this is not saying it literally like we always say. No, Nobody's actually perfect, you know. So you coming in as a designer that has this enthusiasm to learn, to seek feedback is always very beautiful. Yeah, people love when you genuinely want to learn, when you genuinely want to get better. You know, don't come off as a perfect um gold star designer. I mean, you can be, but it's also good that you talk about the things that you come from a place of, oh, I am not perfect, but I did this, and I think we can work. And thirdly, not knowing how to ask. You know, there's no clear language for what kind of feedback you actually want. As I grow as a designer, one thing that I know has helped me a lot is when I am presenting my work to stakeholders or to my team members, I focus on where I want them to give me feedback. I don't share the old screens for them. Like you don't share the old scripts because now then we go to where where they want to go to know. I just give them an overview and I just highlight two screens or three screens I want us to talk about. That is where I want you to give me feedback. It helps me align my thought and it streamlines my thought process. I know, okay, yeah, this is where the problem is. If you just open your Figma file and you are presenting, going flow by flow, they are going to talk about things that are very, very confusing. And at the end of the day, you're going to leave the meeting even more confused. You know, lack of structure process. If you don't have a structured process, you don't have a routine, you don't have a reviewer, you don't have a checkpoint, it's going to affect you very, very well. Now, how do you ask for feedback? Early state, the wireframe, the user flow, you know, you this validates your direction before investing hours of polishing um, the screens and everything. So this is the early stage. Mid stage, when you've confirmed the logic, the journey, owning them together, you already know where you are going to. The final stage, you know, every me I even asked more than these stages. At every point I meet, not sharing my screen, I just tell you at the stage I am and why I am taking the steps I am taking. This is to help us know that, okay, we are on the same line, you know, we are aligning the same. And the mid stage here is where a lot of people often skip. I also think people also skip the wireframe. People don't really do it on wireframe. But all of these stages are very, very important. Now, how do you ask for feedback effectively? Don't ask what do you think. Now, what do you think is it puts the reviewer to guess what they actually need. You will get opinions on colors and not the problem, you know. Exactly what I said in like in my last two slide. Show them where you want them to give you feedback on. Does this flow solve the user's problem? Point them to the place that you want them to give you feedback on, you want them to talk on. You are the one leading. You are the one like shaping how the experience of the conversation is going to be, you know. Now in the company, this varies a lot. It depends on the size of your company and the kind of designer you are. If you are a freelancer or if you are working full time, your other designers are involved in your design, you should share it with them. Developers, the person that is going to be building the designs you are working on, yeah, the product manager, you are going to be working with them like 5 and 6. And the users, you know, they're like the beta testing. If you've worked on a live project, they are users, we call them the beta users to test the product before it actually goes live, you know. Yeah, the tools and method to help you get feedbacks. Design critics, very good, very beautiful. The way my early days of being a designer, I used to have like this space on Twitter. You know, you share your screen, you share your portfolio, and senior designers give you feedback. I think they still do that now. Very, very important. Helped me a lot. You know, hasting feedback. You can just make a long video of where you want them to give you feedback on and send it to either your product manager, your developer, anybody, your stakeholder, the founder, you know. And you can always do quick usability testing, test with users, see how they are using your product in real life and get feedback, you know. And informal feedback loop, you can just have a quick DM, you know, check in before something goes further. Presenting your design work confidently. This is not always easy. It's the confidence grows as often as you present your design, you explain your decision early. Walk through the why and not the what. The decisions and not just the deliverables. Why did you do this? Why did you decide to design a model rather than a full page screen? Why do you use a round edged button rather than the sharp edge? Link the choices to business and user goal. Ground every choice in a problem itself, not just the taste. It's also like tell us, okay, a user said this, that is why you did this. That makes sense. You have to handle pushback professionally. Like I said, don't internalize feedback. Honestly, do not. You are a designer, and as much as we designers think that most of our work is on Figma, I say designers are one of the key criteria for you to be a good designer is to be a good communicator. Your ability to communicate your decisions, the why, the reason behind everything you're doing is so important. It is very, very important. Yeah, you're going to have pushback, but you should communicate, okay, this is why we're going for this. you know do not be defensive. Do not internalize negative feedback. It's part of it. And common mistakes you need to avoid as a designer when you are sharing your designs. Working too long before sharing your waiting too long before sharing your work. Again, don't wait till the final screens are ready. Do not take feedbacks personally. Don't do that. Like I said, don't internalize it. Do not ask vague questions. Ignoring key stakeholders. By key stakeholders, I mean key stakeholders are people that make key decisions about the products. Like if they do not give their input, we might not ship. These products will not go. So those people are the people that you should reach out to at the early stage of the feature, whatever you are building. Do not wait to the end and now they'll not start telling you that, oh, this is not important. Oh, the market's research for this says that this is not good. And you're back to square one. Do not waste your time and your efforts. And you have to build a feedback system. You have to consistently have a feedback routine. A like a weekly check-in where you share your work. You have to be a reliable you have to have a reliable reviewer, like a trustworthy person, either your fellow designer on the team, that you can always share your work quickly. Oh, see this stuff, please can you help me check it, and just have a regular review. Back then at my previous company, we have this done every Friday. We call it workshop. But before we start the major brainstorming of the next feature, we just share what we are currently working on and ask for feedback. It makes things easier. On Monday, you know what you are coming, you know what is changing. It makes things easier for you. Think of a project you kept to yourself for a long time. What happened when you finally shared it? I need us to pause for a few seconds and reflect. If you've ever been in this kind of situation, if this has happened to you, you could relate to this. You can drop your answer in the chats. And yeah, so yeah, the framework to remember as you decide to stop designing in silence, it's a cycle, it's not linear. When you design, you share early, you ask the right questions, you improve, and you repeat. You go back again, you design, you share early, you ask the right question, you improve, and you repeat till you ship the product or till you are done with that particular project. You know. So I hope by the end of today, by the end of this meeting, you know when and how to seek feedback. You feel more confident sharing your work. You understand how to improve through collaboration. You're not scared of collaboration. You look forward to it. You have a simple framework you can apply immediately. Thank you, everyone. I hope you learned one or two things from this presentation. And finally, questions and discussions are welcome. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for today's session. I really understood everything, especially the importance of collaborating and sharing your work from the beginning to the end of the project with the stakeholders. and your fellow team members. So thank you so much for the wonderful study class. Okay, so we question we have a
That's cool.
question from Amechi. Yeah, she asks, how do I get gigs as a beginner product designer who just finished professional training?
Okay. That's a very good question. And to be honest and encouraging, there is no linear way. There's no like, oh, this is the default way to get gigs as a designer. No. One of the I know major way to get gig is by sharing your work. We have the Twitter, we have LinkedIn. The more you share your work, the more your Twitter or LinkedIn push your work to recruiters, your prospective, your potential employers, people that might want you to work for them. And it gives you visibility. And by visibility, you get to reach more people. So, yeah, I can tell you apply to jobs. Yeah, that works for people. But the most effective way is by sharing your work. Work on passion projects, get on, look at the day-to-day products you use, look for ways you can improve them. You can come up with different thinking ideas, share it online, you can tag them, and they might just employ you on their team. So again, it's by sharing your work. Share your work online. Let's know what you've got, and the right people will reach out to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, another question here. For freelancers, this one is pertaining to freelancers, those that are working on projects remotely for clients. What if working with a, let me use the term difficult client, he or she doesn't want to, have meeting reviews with the designer as the designer is working on the project. The only sentence is just get the project done. I'm going to see the final work. So how can that freelancer be able to avoid working in silence?
Oh, yeah. I think this is something that I have heard of. I think you need to communicate that early on that this will lead to time wasted because there's no certainty that you and I at the end of like at the final stage we're going to have like the same um goal, like okay, we are going to want the same thing. So you need to communicate it. And when they say, oh, don't worry, I'm going to like whatever you do and everything, then you can also emphasize on the fact that if you give me like a feedback that is very different from what I was expecting, that require me to go back to Figma and start changing major stuff, I'm going to add like 60% increment on the payments because yeah, it works that way. A lot of um product owners can be very funny. So if you're a freelancer and you're working with a product owner that say, "Oh, don't worry, I don't have time," blah blah blah, that's fine. That's fine. You cannot force them to create time for you, but emphasize, like, let it be. Highlight that, and just make sure that you talk to them that, oh, if you have like a major feedback change that will require me to go back to Figma, there's going to be a 60% increase, and if they agree, that's fine. So that's what I think is gonna work.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay,
Yeah.
it seems we don't have any more questions. Okay, so I would love to say thank you so much for speaking for today's session. It was really a pleasure having you on board. And yeah, thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much too for having me. It is a pleasure to be here. And yeah, thank you. See you guys some
Thank
other
you.
time.
Goodbye.